I'm pretty excited to talk to you about this topic today. The eBay 2025 Up and Running Grant, where you can win $10,000 plus you get eBay's refurbished credit of $500 and you get coaching and support. And this is a grant through eBay. And I can tell you, you can win this because I was a recipient of this grant in the past. So I encourage you to apply. And in this video, I'm going to tell you some tips to help you apply and have a better chance of winning it. And I'm going to go through my own experience of what I did and what I learned from the process and how they're still supporting me to this day. The other thing we'll go into detail is I attended the eBay summer check-in. I believe that was on Thursday or Friday, something like that. And we'll go over a couple things that they talked about with that. Make sure you watch to the end to get all the details you need for applying and all the updates from the seller check-in. My name is Ann, and I've been selling for quite some time. I believe it was 2011 that we started our eBay account, and it's been a wild ride since. And I'm just here to hopefully share some tips, tricks, and I'd love to learn from you guys too. So always feel free to leave comments and share your experiences. So while we do this, I usually pull some orders. So let's start out by pulling the first order. I was going to pull something out, but I'm going to hold that till the end. We had 2 orders right on top of us with a really good price tag. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it out now, but I'm not going to tell you the price of these 2 items until the end. Maybe you can guess what the price is. So this is a Quicksilver marine part, and usually it's for Mercury boats. These are basically old stock. They're new old stock. They've never been used. But this one is, I'll give you the full title, Quicksilver Mercruiser Thunderbolt IV Ignition Module V8-22A15899A1. I'll give you the price at the end, or towards the end of the video, after we go through some of these other sales. And this, I thought this one came after an item that I thought was going to be our top priced item. So that's the first clue, is this is the top priced item. Okay, so this is an item that I thought was going to be our top priced item. And this is a Mercury Quicksilver electric fuel pump. And it is new old stock. It is Quicksilver. So those 2 items, I'm going to hold off a little bit and let you think about what those might be worth. But I will tell you those are our top 2 price sales for today. The next item we have is Stanley Turrentine Straight Ahead. Now this record only sold for $14.99, but the customer did pay shipping, so it was a pretty good sale. And this is an old lot number that we had, so I know we've had this in stock for a really long time, so I'm happy to see it go and get to a good home. So let's talk about the requirements. They're pretty simple, so I think the majority of you should be able to apply for this. I am no longer eligible because I've already won a grant from them, and this type of grant. So I am no longer able to receive the Up and Running grant. So I do not meet the requirements. But other than that, you do need to be an executor of the company that is selling on eBay, the person or company that would receive the grant. Now that means for most of us, for small businesses, sole proprietors, it's probably you know, the owner of the company, CEO, president, that type of thing. That qualifies you for being an executor of your company. The other thing is you do need to be 18 years or older, and you also need to reside in the US. You have to be actively selling on eBay. You also need to have an above standard or top rated seller on eBay. So make sure you're doing the right things on eBay to be able to get this grant. That's about it. I mean, the last one that was on the list is not a previous winner or recipient of the grant, and that was me. So I don't qualify anymore. So those are the qualifications. I hope you may meet them. All right, let's pull another item. So this record is called Love for Sale Vinyl. It's from 1969, and this one sold for $20 free shipping. Here's a pretty cool one. This is by Quicksilver as well. It's a belt pulley kit, and so you can see the pulley in there and the belt. That sold for $66.50, and the customer did pay for shipping. Here's a record that sold. This was Slash, the early sessions, and this sold for $15 free shipping. Okay, the next two records actually sold to the same buyer, so we can combine shipping. The first one is Burning Rain, and this one sold for $33.25 free shipping. And then we have Crawling Walls, and that one is Inner Limits, and that sold for $23.75 free shipping. So I did attend the summer seller update or check-in meeting that was last week, and they did give some tips on what they suggest for when you're applying for the grant. And the first one is tell your story. You know, tell them how you're currently doing. Do you have successes? What are you doing to be successful? And what are your goals? What's your plan on being more successful, and how do you plan on getting there? They like percentages, they like numbers, things like that. They did say to be very specific, so that's where the numbers and things like that go. Is there certain things that you need to make your business grow? Are there certain classes or education? What do you need to be able to take your business to the next level? And those are things that you want to make sure that you put in your application. Okay, the next sale is a service manual. It's for Mariner Outboards, Mercury. It's 3044 stroke. So this one sold for $25 free shipping. All right, this is a pretty good one. It's new old stock, Mercury Quicksilver, and this is a switchbox assembly, and this sold for $135 free shipping. Now don't forget, at the beginning of the video, or like sort of in the middle so far, I gave you two items that we sold, and I said those items were the highest amount, and I wanted you to guess what the price is. So don't forget to do that in the comments, but it was more than this item, and this sold for $135 free shipping. Now this one, I think that you guys would probably have a hard time figuring out what it is. It is a cover, and it is actually for an antique manta clock. So at the back of the clock, this goes on and it'll flip open and close to see the movement. So this sold for $11.99, and the customer did pay shipping. Now, this is a really old inventory item, but this is one that we had multiples of, so that's why we've had them around so long. So I'll take that. We'll do one more here before we get back into our topic. This is a Bagley Mashako. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. It is a wristwatch, mother of pearl, $27, and the customer did pay shipping. So I'll show you the watch itself. In order to help you guys out when applying for this grant, I thought it would be a good idea for me to go over some of my past paperwork. Now, When we won the grant, we won it in 2022. And when you go in to apply for the grant, it is handled by another company. I believe it's called Alice. And you have to do a lot of like short essays when you're applying. Now, I don't know if the 2025 is the same thing. I would be pretty surprised if it wasn't. So they really do ask you about your story, about what your experiences are, why you want to be a seller, what are your successes, what are your struggles, how are you going to overcome those struggles, what do you need to do to move ahead, and how are you going to use the money? I mean, $10,000 isn't chump change, and let me tell you, it really does help. We've put it into our business. So first one was tell us more about you. Why did you become a small business owner? And what's your original story of your business? And be specific. And they were 300-word essays that you had to do. That was the max. You couldn't go over 300 words. And I don't know if the questions will be the same, but I will tell you, take time and go through these questions. Really think them through. How are you going to answer them? Now, for us, we talked about our financial difficulties. We actually got into eBay because we weren't making our bills. I mean, it financially helped us multiple times. I talked about how both me and my husband have had health issues, and it helped us get through that. I had cancer, my husband has Crohn's. Let me tell you, the medications and just being out of work during those times, eBay helped. I actually have a video on that. You might want to check it out. It's a pretty good video. I showed that we did have growth in our eBay business and that we planned on continuing to grow. And then I also talked about social media and how I wanted to make sure we were going to grow ourselves on social media to be able to grow a following. I was straight out with eBay. I told them, I don't want to be completely reliant on you. Anything can happen to your eBay account. Anything could happen to eBay. Nobody knows the future, and I don't believe you should be reliant on any one source or one selling platform. eBay is a tool, and it's a great tool, and I plan on continuing to use it, and it is our main source. But I don't want it to be the only source. The other question was, please elaborate on how you intend on using the grant funding. So I talked about how we were starting to get into storage units, and we started by talking about how I need space. I need a way to transport larger quantities of things, trailers, things like that. And that is what we did end up spending the money on, is a big storage shed. We bought a 12 by 32 storage shed. And it has a garage door opening on one side, and then it has a regular entrance on the other side. I also have a window in it where we can put an air conditioner in it so we can keep items climate controlled the best to our abilities. It has helped us, and that's what I talked about. I just talked about we need better sourcing, we need to keep our cost of goods low, and we need to be able to turn it quicker. Let's see, I'm just going through. Here's one, and this is one that they did not talk about in the seller's check-in, the summer seller's check-in. They asked about your community and how you support your community around. Now, I decided to talk about, I gave them a story. Like, we don't donate a lot of funds to organizations, through our company at least. But we do help the community. We go down to the flea markets and we will sell items cheaper at the flea market and allow people to purchase things that they need for prices way below what we could get it for, because we just go down and at the end we honestly just give it away. But I told a story. There was this gentleman, at the flea market, and he had a booth next to us, and he had very little items on his booth. And honestly, he was just trying to make his rent. He couldn't afford his rent. And it was a 2-day flea market. They have it every weekend here. It's called the Barnyard. It's in Augusta. And so we go there somewhat regularly. Well, we knew he wasn't going to make rent with the items that he had. So we were planning on coming the following day. We had so much stuff. So we gave him a good amount of the stuff that, you know, he couldn't take all of it just because of transporting issues and things like that. But we gave him a good amount of items that he could come back the following day, be able to sell them, and be able to keep a roof over his and his son's head. And so whether he came back the next day or not, I don't know. But we did what we could do to help him. And I told that story in my application to eBay. And then it talks about, another question they had was, what are you proud of? And honestly, I'm proud of the growth. I'm proud of the fact that I can support myself full-time with my eBay business. And that is very important to me. So I hope those tips have helped you. I will tell you, I took the questions and I put it into Word, and I really thought through my responses. I did not give a quick 5-minute response. I really thought about it, and I really thought about what my business plan was, how I would use the funds. And I think if eBay sees that, they want to see growth. They want to see people succeed. Because guess what? If you succeed and you make more sales on eBay, eBay does better. So they do want to pick people who are going to use the money wisely, who are going to put it to some good, who's going to help them and also grow their business, because that grows eBay. Let's pull another order and then we'll start getting into the seller check-in. There were just a couple things that they mentioned that I think you might be interested in. This is a heavy-duty hammer. This is a Mac Tools heavy-duty hammer. It's a 2-pound anti-vibe hammer. And this sold for $47.50, and the customer did pay shipping. So here is another Mercury new old stock by Quicksilver. It is a reverse gear. This sold for $66.50, and the customer did pay for shipping. All right, so the next 3 records all went to the same customer. They all sold for $15 each, free shipping. And this one's Das Damon. Another Das Damon. And Gestures of Destiny. So these all sold for $15 each, so $45 total, and they sold for free shipping, but I'll be able to bundle those together, so I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll get those out today. Okay, we got another record here, Louis Williams, and this sold for $95 free shipping. So not all our records sell for $15. This is a pretty good one. Okay, so now I want to talk about the eBay Sellers Check-in, Summer Check-in for 2025. The first thing they did bring up was tariffs, and they basically didn't say a whole lot about it. They basically said that they have their eyes on the tariffs, and if you're within the eBay Global Shipping Program, if you ship through that, that's great. They handle everything. They're watching the laws, the rules, the changes, and they'll make sure to take care of it. And it'll be on them if they miss something. We've still been shipping internationally, and honestly, we haven't had too many problems. Well, we haven't had really any problems with it, because we just ship it off to the address that eBay tells us to. They take care of it. So I'm really not worrying about the tariffs right now. I know there's been some recent changes or updates with that. even as I'm speaking. So they're changing day by day. We don't have to worry about them. eBay is taking care of that. So that is the first thing that really came up. Now, the next thing that came up is a newer program, and it is called the Certified Open Box. And this should be great for all of us. It is something that eBay is now offering that is not going to cost sellers a penny, but is going to give some more confidence in purchasing used electronic items for customers. I am going to read off, and they have a list online of examples of eligible categories. So I'm just going to read them off. You got cell phones, smartphones, laptops, vacuum cleaners, appliances, headphones, tablets, tools, and video game consoles. Those are some pretty good things. So what does this all mean? Well, first off, there is some qualifications to get this. You have to fall in the category of one of these items. You also have to have the condition set as open box. And you also have to offer free delivery. Now, this is something that I don't think everybody's going to remember when it comes down to time of why wasn't my item included in this. You do have to offer free delivery on these items. And some of these items are larger items. Some tools can be quite large, appliances, and most of us don't usually offer free shipping on the larger items. So something to think about, something to consider. You also have to provide at least a 30-day free return policy. So that's all included. And you also have to be above standard or top rated seller. So what is this qualifying for a certified open box item do for you? Well, basically it's giving the customer a 1-year warranty, and it's offered to the customers free. We're not paying anything extra. It's an extra service eBay is offering and should help with some sales. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes moving forward. I would remember though that you do have to offer free delivery, and you do have to offer at least a 30-day free return. The other thing they got into is social media. They are doing AI generated videos that they are offering for sellers to use to try to promote their own sales. Now, I did go into this a little bit. Basically, they're AI generated according to eBay. They basically take pictures from some of your listings, put it into like a reel, and it is a video that you can either put up on eBay or TikTok. They haven't yet offered this on any other platforms. Now, you can share your listings on other platforms. The one thing is, though, you do need to link your social media to eBay in order for this to work. I have not played with it yet. I think it's something I will be looking into. I have shared listings on Facebook before, just trying to promote my shop and things like that. But to be honest, I'm on YouTube, but I haven't done a good job on promoting specific listings and things like that. So obviously eBay is pretty excited about social media, and I know a lot of the other platforms have you share your listings, especially on Pinterest. So it might be something to get into a little bit deeper. I think I might be studying up a little bit more on what eBay is having to offer. I don't know. We'll see. I will make sure to let you know in future videos. Maybe that's something we need to discuss further. So I do have a couple more listings to pull. We're almost done. All right, so we have another service manual, another Mariner service manual, and this one sold for $35, and the customer did pay shipping. Okay, so this one is actually something we've had multiples of. This is the third one I'm selling of this item. It is a Mercury Quicksilver switch box assembly, and it is an OEM part. It sold for $100 free shipping, so I'm sort of sad that it's my last one. These were some good sales, so last one out of the 3. So that is it for today. I did promise you, though, that I would let you know those first 2 items, what I pulled, what they sold for. And so let's go back to that real quick. Now, the first one, this was the one that I thought was going to be our top seller. And it wasn't. We got one, like, it happened like minutes after this one sold. We got another sale for that beat this one out. But this is the one that is an electric fuel pump, Quicksilver, OEM, new old stock. So I asked you to guess what the price was. I hope you put it down in the comments. It sold for $225, and the customer got free shipping, so we'll pay the shipping. But $225, I don't think this is going to cost too much to ship. But we said we did better on this one. So this one is it's a ignition module. It's Mercury again, Mercruiser, Thunderbolt 4. And this one sold for $295 free shipping. So my suggestion is get busy, you guys. Get those sales. They're out there. And don't forget to apply for that eBay grant, because part of the reason why we have this space and the ability to pull in this inventory and get these deals, our cost of goods lowered, is partially because of that grant. And I'll tell you, it's not just about the money. That eBay grant, I tell you, after winning that one, eBay puts you, they recognize you. It's a recognition as well. And they do publicize who won the grants. But I call eBay and I actually get answers a lot easier than what I hear some other people do. And they do want to support us. So get out there, fill out those applications, do it now so you have time to think about it. Deadline is June 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get those applications in. And in the meantime, happy selling.